Today, we're going to be going over my top 5 favorite cars to drive in the snow in GTA 5 Online. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, I did my top 5 vehicles for the snow. And this year, there's actually some new cars that's come out, obviously, as you guys know. And I think the one that was in my number 1 spot last year surprised a lot of people. So this year, we'll see, can it hold on to that number 1 spot? Or there's one I have in mind that I think could potentially blow it out of the water, but we'll find out. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into my top 5 best cars for snow in GTA 5 Online. All right, guys, so I am sad to say, last year in my number 5 slot, if you saw that video, was this right here, the Maibatsu Monstrosity. I still absolutely love this vehicle. It is still good in the snow, but there is something that has knocked this out of my number 5 slot. What is it? It is this right here, ladies and gentlemen. The Canis Terminus. Now, this vehicle is newer this year. And when it came out, one of the things... Let me put my headset on because I still want to hear this thing as well. Look how beautiful it looks with the snow, man. I absolutely love it. So when this vehicle came out earlier this year, I did say I thought it was one of the best handling SUVs in the game. And I still think it is one of the best handling SUVs. Better than some cars. Like, genuinely. Not just in the snow. Oop. Sorry, I took my hand off my controller there for a second. Not just in the snow, but, like, just in general. This thing handles better than a lot of cars. Now, as far as off-road driving, this thing is incredible. As far as just driving around in the snow, this thing is incredible. So let's take it to a little off-roading section here. And see what this thing does. Genuinely, just driving this thing over here at like full speed, just flat out, it blows my mind. Like, it genuinely blows my mind. Like, I know it. This is a top 5, right? The fact that this is number 5 is kind of crazy, though. It is kind of crazy. All right, let's take this thing off-road here a little bit. In the snow. Should we go up there? No, I feel like we should stay pure off-road. Just so you can see that even in the snow, this thing not only can handle well, but it can climb bloody mountains. You know what I mean? So if you're doing any missions where you need to go looking for things or anything like that. Oh, I'm not selling it, am I? Just kidding. If you need to do any missions where you got to go looking for anything, or if you're trying to do any treasure hunts like the snowman treasure hunt or anything like that, even though the snowmen aren't going to be off-road, this thing's solid. This thing is absolutely solid. It drives incredible. Let's try and do a jump off here. Land on your feet. Oh. You know, there's some cars that when you drive into this water here, it legitimately just breaks them. Even though the exhaust in this... What was I just saying, man? Jeep, what have you done? So one thing you need to know about Rockstar, right? So if they have a car that has an exhaust that kind of comes up, like the Monstrosity, right? You can go in water quite a bit. This one, we did not go that deep in water. And it has been totaled. You know, that doesn't discount or discredit it, I should say. As far as driving this thing around in the snow, it's incredible. Maybe just don't drive it down a river. I mean, you can tell how deep that is by looking at the color difference. But anyway, let's move on to number 4. All right, guys, in our number 2 slot, this was number 2 last year. And even though it is such a cool car, definitely in my top 10 off-road vehicles and top 10 snow vehicles, it has been knocked off the list this year. We have a new car that I just think is a little bit, well, technically, our third... We have some new cars on the list that's shifted things around a little bit. But this was on our list, and our next car was on our list also last year, and it is this beast right here, ladies and gentlemen. It has been knocked down a spot, though, which means we've had to eliminate our Safari. But this is the Obey Omnis. It is, I mean, it's a rally car in real life, let's be honest, but this thing just drives incredible in the snow. It's got to a point, though, where I've been so torn between our 4th spot and our 3rd spot. It was between this one and the one that you're going to see next. The only reason I've put this one down is because the one that we're going to be talking about next is just more for, like, fun. But if you're looking about complete control in the snow, I would argue that this one's better than our next spot. But as far as fun is concerned, maybe not. But this one, ooh, I think I was going a little too fast there to take this corner. But this thing is still an absolute unit in the snow. It was in my top 3 last year for a reason. And honestly, driving it, this is the first time I've driven it this year in the snow. I have test drove a lot of the new cars in the snow just to make sure that I haven't missed any new ones. But no, they still don't come close to this. And let's listen to it. When'd you get a chance to drive these things, man? When'd you get a chance to drive them like this? This is what this thing's made for. This is literally what this thing is made for. Again, if you want a car that you can just drive around and not have to worry about sliding all over the place, and you want to be able to just play the game almost, as if it wasn't snowing, and you can just have a little bit of fun driving around doing missions and stuff like that, definitely pick one of these things up. Definitely, if you already own it, take it out for a spin. I don't think you're going to be surprised. I think this, or maybe you will be surprised, but this thing is solid. And there she is, ladies and gentlemen, the Omnis. All right, guys, in our number 3 slot, I went for something that is totally different from last year and kind of goes against everything that I say when it comes to snow cars, to be completely honest with you. And it's the Envisage. I can never say this bloody car's name. Now, the reason I went for this is I wanted to test out more electric cars, because I think the electric cars in this game are pretty decent in the snow. But the reason I wanted to test this, it's a newer vehicle, but all of them in my list here are vehicles that are just grippy, right? They can grip the road. And I know there's some people out there that enjoy the snow to a point where they like sliding around, but when they're in a lot of cars, they just slide and whack into things. And then a lot of the cars, or all the cars on my list, don't do that, right? They hold the road as if there's no snow there. This one is like right in between, and that's why it's right in the middle on my list here. Because if you want a car that's fun, but does still slide around, but is controllable, it's going to be this thing right here. So as soon as you get in, it feels heavy. It does slide, unlike any of the other cars we have, but it drives as if you have a drift package on it. Like you can see, just turn in a little bit, it's going to start sliding, but look how controlled it is. Like, this is a car that if you want to drive in the snow and have that ability to, like, slide around, but also want to be in control, this one's a lot of fun. Like, this genuinely feels like, it makes you feel like you're a decent driver. Like, you can actually drift around these corners and control it. Now, there's a few cars, especially, well, number 2 is a straight up, you'll see in a minute, it grips like crazy. And number 1 is by far, well, obviously it's my favorite. But if you want something, it does feel a little heavy, but if you want something that you feel like you can still have some fun and just slide around, this is going to be the car for you. Now, I would actually love to know in the comment section down below, out of all those of you who are like, you know what, I hate playing the game because it's snowing and it just ruins it for me. Do you prefer the cars that I've mentioned? I'm assuming you do, but is there anyone out there that wants a car like this that you can just drift around but still have control of? I'm genuinely curious. And if you haven't tested this in the snow, let me know. Let me know. Give it a try yourself. I'm sure... Ooh. Didn't realize. Forgot there was a corner here. But yeah, if you haven't tried this car in the snow, let me know in the comments section down below. If you give it a shot. I'm assuming most people, like I say, already own this vehicle. So it wouldn't be one of the cars that I recommend going out and buying for driving in the snow. But it is a car that if you already own it, give it a go and let me know what you think. All right. Anyway, oh, look at that. Look at the control, man. Anyway, let's take this thing into our garage and let's move on to our next one. Oh, it's just like you can just turn it. Look at it. You can just... It dances for you, baby. It dances. All right. Anyway, enough of that fun. Let's take it in. And in our number 2 slot, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. This thing is still by far one of the best off-road vehicles. Oh, not even off-road, just best vehicles to drive in the snow. It handles incredibly well. You can already tell going off-road in this thing's going to be amazing, so we're not going to do that again this time. But like I say, when you're driving in the snow, you don't want to be sliding around all over the place. And this thing's solid. It is absolutely a beast. And you can drive around with your friends, obviously, it being a 4-door car. And if I didn't mention already, it is indeed the Droga, in case you didn't know the name of this vehicle. I've done the top 5 like off-road vehicles before. This thing is obviously in it. Look at this thing, man. It's an absolute beast. Whoa! That was nothing to do with driving off-road. That was me looking at my lights and not paying attention. But if you're looking, like I say, for a decent off-road vehicle, this is number 2 on my list. Now, everyone may have different lists. It depends on what your driving style is, what it is you're looking for. Are you looking for something that goes specifically off-road, something that just handles well in the snow? I know a lot of people, if you just go and grab like one of those cars, right, and try driving around, you're going to be sliding all over the place. It's just not a fun experience. And I think genuinely That's why a lot of people don't like this week, right? Or the next 2 weeks where we have snow in GTA Online. I get a lot of people in the comments that tell me all the time that they just avoid it. They avoid GTA this time of year just because they hate driving around in the snow. So if you're one of those people, make sure that you grab one of these if you don't have it already. And if you do, take it out for a drive. I think you will be royally impressed. I mean, this thing just flies around, man. It just I know we're driving in a straight line, but there's so many cars that just have no grip in the snow that you couldn't literally just be in and out weaving. Oh, look at that control. Incredible. Look at it. Forward, his snow tires look sick. A car so good, I actually have 3 of them. I'm not sure where the third one is. Usually all 3 of them are sitting here in a row. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The reigning champion, same as last year, the Panhard Lacarouse. I absolutely love this thing. I've taken it out again today just to make sure it hasn't been nerfed or anything. But it's incredible. So let's go see what this thing can do. All right, guys. Here she is. My favorite car in the snow. I absolutely love it. This thing is like a bullet. Absolutely. Like, I remember it from last year, man. I remember driving this last year. I mean, the speed of it in this, like I say, the speed of this regularly, right? Driving this thing around. Okay, well, Rockstar just loves doing that to us, let's be honest. But driving this thing around, like when it's not snowing, I always feel like it could be a little faster. But in the snow, this thing is rapid. And it turns like insane. You point it, and it'll go in that direction. Now, it is a little slippy and slidey if you don't know how to control it, but it snaps back, like, just super easily. Let's see if we can get this thing to snap and then just turn into places. You can see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's hard to even make this thing. You have to really try. There we go. Oh, it just snaps back into place, though. Point it in the direction you want it to go. By far my favorite car to drive in the snow in GTA 5 Online. Listen, I've tried almost all of the cars in the game, right? So you could arguably say that there is a car that's better, but it would be a car that I haven't driven, which is literally going to be like something like that. You know what I mean? I promise you. I didn't test that for the snow. I promise you, that thing is not better than this in the snow, man. There's just no way. If you haven't driven this in the snow, if you watched my video last year, I'm sure you've already driven this thing in the snow. But if you haven't, go out and buy it. Go out and buy it. Test it in the snow. It literally feels like you're not driving in the snow. It literally feels like it's on ice skates, man. Like, this thing just, you point it in the direction you want to go, and it's going to go in that direction. You don't need to worry about it spinning out. You don't need to worry about it just completely losing contraction. Like, I'm trying to spin it. I'm trying on the corners for this thing to spin out, and it just won't. It just won't. It just sticks to, it's literally like it's got ice skates on it. So if you have a car that you think is better handling than this, I would love to hear about it in the comments, because I'll try it. I'll try it out myself. I shouldn't have gone into first person, but it still handles amazing. I'll try it out. Let's actually take this thing back into our Garmin factory here, where we're going to see all 5 cars together in order. But I genuinely don't. I don't think any of you guys can pick a car that's better than this in the snow. I just don't. It's just incredible. Where's the Garmin factory, man? I feel like I'm losing my goddamn mind. I'm going the wrong way. Here it is, down here. I can see it on my mini-map now. But yeah, just great. Just absolutely great. If there's anything that I'm going to be doing in GTA where I need to drive, by far, this is always going to be my choice. 100... Ooh, a little bit of lag there. 100% of the time. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, here in my Garmin factory. We have the Terminus, which is still incredible. Even though it's in my number 5 slot and it took out the monstrosity, it's still an incredible vehicle. You just can't go wrong with it. And it looks great. Speaking of looks, though, the Obey Omnis. I just feel like I'd never drive this thing, but being able to drive it in the snow is just incredible. So definitely number 4. Number 3, the one I think is going to be a little controversial, the Envisage. I'm not even going to try it. Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, this car drifts actually pretty well anyway, in the regular when it's not snowing. But in the snow, it just feels so controlled. Now, it is heavier. That's why I've stuck it right in the middle, because it's a heavier car It does slide a lot, but it's controlled. So if you're looking for a top 5 car you can drive in the snow, that you can kind of drift around a little bit, that's why I've put this in there. And it's beautiful. And our top 2, ladies and gentlemen, is the same as last year. The Droga is just an absolute beast. It's fast. You can do absolutely anything in this. It's got the 4 doors. It's just a great all-around car. And then my number 1, obviously, the Panhard Lacarouse. It drives incredible in the snow. I don't know what to tell you. It was my favorite last year. It's my favorite again this year. And this is just, again, my personal top 5 vehicles for snow. All right, guys, so that is it. My top 5 favorite personal snow vehicles. Let me know what yours are in the comments section down below. Do you agree with this list? I do think that the 3rd spot, the Envisage, I do think that one's going to be a bit controversial. But you know what? Like I say, I drove all of the newer cars. I drove all of the older cars. I did a lot last year. And it was just fun. Like, it is heavy, but it's very controlled at sliding. But that's the only one I can imagine on my list is going to be a little controversial here today. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. Because if there's any newer players that are trying to figure out how to drive in the snow because it's a pain, let them know in the comments if you agree or disagree, or let them know that your favorite, your number 1 favorite car. I'm not surprised that the Panhard Lacarouse is my number 1 favorite once again. It's incredible in the snow. It's great in the regular, but in regular driving, I feel like it could be almost a little too slow. But in the snow, it's just fast and active, and it's incredible. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow as always. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I'll see you tomorrow as always with a brand new video. Goodbye.